Spiritual Manthan.
Many people spend their entire lives striving for spiritual maturity, seeking a deeper understanding of themselves, their purpose, and their connection to the divine. It's not a journey that can be completed overnight or in a single moment of enlightenment. Instead, it's a gradual process. Like a seed growing into a tree, it takes time, patience, and nurturing. Have you ever found yourself wondering what your purpose is, or how you fit into the grand scheme of things? If you have, you're not alone. We all feel that pull towards something greater, something beyond the everyday grind. It's as if there's a voice deep inside, whispering that we're meant for more. This journey towards spiritual maturity often brings with it an awareness that certain habits and behaviors no longer align with our higher selves. It's like waking up one day and realizing that the old shoes you've been wearing are worn out and don't fit anymore. Sure, you've grown comfortable in them, but they no longer serve your purpose. This is where spiritual growth comes into play, realizing what we need to let go of in order to make room for new growth. For highly spiritual people, this process of letting go isn't an abrupt or dramatic decision. It's a slow, deliberate journey of self-reflection and conscious choices. Think of it like peeling away layers of an onion, each layer revealing a deeper truth about who you are. With each step, they move closer to their authentic selves, slowly releasing what no longer aligns with their higher purpose. It's a beautiful, ongoing journey, one that never really ends, because there's always more to discover. So, are you ready to peel back the layers and uncover your true self? 1. Letting go of toxic relationships. Toxic relationships are one of the first things highly spiritual people begin to release. And let's be real, we've all had those relationships, the kind that leave you feeling drained, exhausted, and questioning your worth. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those people who seem to bring negativity with them wherever they go, like a storm cloud that follows them around. It's not always easy to spot these relationships at first, because they're often cloaked in familiarity or even a sense of obligation. But over time, the weight of these connections becomes undeniable. Highly spiritual individuals recognize that the energy we surround ourselves with is crucial to our growth. Imagine trying to plant a garden in the middle of a desert. No matter how much effort you put in, it's just not the right environment for growth. In the same way, toxic relationships create a hostile environment for spiritual expansion. They pull us down, cloud our judgment, and keep us from aligning with our higher purpose. That's why, over time, spiritually conscious people start to distance themselves from these relationships. It's not that they harbor ill will or resentment toward others. It's simply a matter of self-preservation. They understand that in order to grow, they need to be surrounded by positive, uplifting energy. And sometimes, that means stepping back from people who no longer resonate with where they're headed. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone who disagrees with them or isolating themselves from the world. It's about making conscious choices about who they allow into their inner circle. By letting go of toxic relationships, they create space for healthier, more meaningful connections, ones that nurture their soul and support their spiritual journey. 2. Saying goodbye to the need for external validation. We live in a world where validation seems to be the currency of self-worth. From social media, likes to compliments at work, it often feels like we're constantly chasing approval from others. Have you ever caught yourself checking your phone repeatedly after posting something, just to see how many people liked it? It's easy to get caught in the trap of needing others to validate our worth. But here's the thing, highly spiritual people eventually learn that external validation is a never-ending cycle that leaves you feeling empty. It's like trying to fill a bottomless cup. As they progress on their spiritual journey, they slowly begin to release the need for approval from others. This doesn't happen all at once. After all, we've been conditioned from a young age to seek validation from the outside world, whether it's praise from a parent, grades in school, or feedback at work. But at some point, highly spiritual individuals realize that relying on external validation is a losing game. It's like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation. The moment the praise stops or the criticism begins, everything comes crumbling down. Instead, they start to cultivate an internal sense of validation. They learn to trust their own inner voice, to listen to their intuition, and to feel confident in who they are without needing constant reassurance from others. It's incredibly liberating when you stop caring about what others think, isn't it? Imagine living your life based on what truly resonates with you, rather than constantly seeking approval. For spiritually conscious people, this shift allows them to live more authentically and freely because they no longer need the external world to tell them they're enough. They already know they are. 3. Breaking free from material attachment. In a society that constantly bombards us with messages to buy more, own more, and accumulate more, it's no wonder that material attachments can weigh us down. We're taught to believe that happiness lies in that new car, that bigger house, or the latest gadget. But highly spiritual people begin to see through this illusion. They slowly start to let go of the idea that their worth or happiness is tied to the things they own. It's not that they renounce all material possessions or live like hermits, but they develop a healthier relationship with things. They realize that while material items can bring temporary pleasure, they don't provide lasting fulfillment. It's like chasing after a rainbow. You might get close, but you'll never really catch it. At some point, spiritually conscious individuals stop chasing the rainbow of material success and start focusing on what truly matters: inner peace, self-awareness, and personal growth. Have you ever felt weighed down by your possessions? Maybe it's the clutter in your home or the constant pressure to upgrade your lifestyle. That's the kind of attachment highly spiritual people slowly break free from. They begin to declutter their lives, both physically and mentally. They understand that simplicity often brings more peace than abundance ever could. By letting go of the need for more, they create space for what truly matters. Their happiness isn't dependent on what they own, but on who they are. This shift allows them to live with more freedom, less stress, and a deeper connection to their inner self. 4. Letting go of the illusion of control. How many of us spend our days trying to control everything around us? We plan our schedules down to the minute, make detailed to-do lists, and try to manage every aspect of our lives. But if we're being honest, how often do things actually go according to plan? Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, and highly spiritual people eventually come to realize that trying to control everything is not only exhausting, but also futile. They slowly begin to let go of the illusion of control and start trusting the natural flow of life. This doesn't mean they become passive or stop making plans altogether. Instead, they develop a more flexible approach to life. They make room for uncertainty, knowing that not everything can be predicted or controlled. It's like learning to ride a wave. You can't control the ocean, but you can learn to go with the flow. By releasing their need to control every outcome, spiritually conscious individuals find a sense of peace that can't be achieved through force or rigidity. Have you ever tried to control a situation only to find that the harder you try, the more out of control it feels? That's because life doesn't operate on our timelines or expectations. Highly spiritual people begin to see this, and, rather than fighting it, they embrace it. They understand that life is a dance between effort and surrender, and that true peace comes from trusting the process. This shift allows them to navigate life's ups and downs with more grace and less stress, knowing that they don't need to have control over everything to find joy and fulfillment. 5. Quitting the blame game. We've all done it at some point, blamed someone else for how we feel. You made me so mad. Or if it weren't for you, I'd be happy. It's a common reaction, isn't it? When things don't go our way, it's easy to point fingers and play the blame game. But highly spiritual people slowly begin to quit this habit. They understand that blaming others only keeps them stuck in a cycle of negativity and disempowerment. The truth is, no one else is responsible for how we feel. Our emotions are our own, and spiritually conscious individuals take full ownership of them. Instead of saying, "You made me feel this way," they shift to, "I'm feeling this way." It might sound like a small difference, but it's a game changer. By taking responsibility for their own emotions, they empower themselves to change their inner world, regardless of what's happening externally. Have you ever noticed how blaming others keeps you stuck in the same patterns? It's like handing over the keys to your happiness and letting someone else drive. But when you stop blaming others and start looking within, you regain control of your emotional state. Highly spiritual people embrace this approach. They see every uncomfortable emotion as an opportunity for growth. Instead of avoiding their feelings or lashing out at others, they dive deep into their emotions to understand what's really going on inside. This doesn't mean they ignore bad behavior or let people walk all over them. It simply means they stop giving their power away by blaming others. By taking responsibility for their emotions, they become the masters of their own inner world, and that's where true growth begins. 6. Letting go of the fear of being misunderstood. Have you ever felt like no one really gets you? Like you're speaking a different language, even when you're surrounded by people? It's a frustrating feeling, isn't it? We all have a deep desire to be understood, to feel like others see us for who we truly are. But here's the thing, not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. Highly spiritual people slowly come to terms with this reality. They realize that being misunderstood is part of the journey, especially when you're walking a path that's different from the norm. It's like being a bird among fish. You're soaring in the sky, seeing the world from a different perspective, while everyone else is swimming around, unaware of what's above the surface. You can try to explain what it's like to fly, but unless they take that journey themselves, they'll never truly understand, and that's perfectly fine. Spiritually conscious individuals stop wasting energy trying to explain themselves to people who aren't ready or willing to understand. They accept that their path is unique and that not everyone will get it. This doesn't mean they isolate themselves or stop communicating with others. It simply means they stop needing validation from others to continue their journey. They learn to trust their own inner guidance, knowing that the right people will understand them when the time is right. By letting go of the fear of being misunderstood, highly spiritual people find a sense of freedom. They no longer feel the need to fit into society's boxes or explain their every move. They just live authentically, knowing that those who matter will eventually see them for who they truly are. 7. Releasing the desire for perfection. Perfection. It's something we've all strived for at some point, right? Whether it's trying to be the perfect partner, the perfect employee, or even the perfect version of ourselves. The desire for perfection can be all-consuming, but highly spiritual people slowly begin to release this need. They come to understand that perfection is an illusion, and chasing it only leads to frustration and dissatisfaction. Think about it. How many times have you worked yourself to the bone, trying to get everything just right, only to realize that it still wasn't enough? The truth is, perfection doesn't exist, not in the way we often imagine it. Life is messy, people are imperfect, and that's what makes it beautiful. Highly conscious individuals start to embrace the imperfections in themselves and others, recognizing that it's our flaws and struggles that give us depth and character. Have you ever looked at a handmade piece of pottery? Its beauty often lies in its imperfections, the little cracks and uneven edges that tell a story. In the same way, spiritually conscious people come to see that life's imperfections are what make it real and meaningful. They stop striving for some unattainable ideal and start finding joy in the here and now, as messy and unpredictable as it may be. This shift doesn't mean they stop improving or growing. It simply means they let go of the pressure to be perfect all the time. They learn to accept themselves as they are, flaws and all, and in doing so, they find a deeper sense of peace. By releasing the desire for perfection, they open themselves up to the beauty of imperfection, and that's where true spiritual growth begins. The journey toward higher consciousness is not a race. It's not about reaching some final destination where everything is perfect and you have all the answers. Instead, it's a slow, deliberate process of letting go of what no longer serves you and embracing your true self. Highly spiritual people understand this, and they approach their journey with patience and grace. They know that growth takes time, and they're okay with that. So, what about you? Are there things in your life that you're ready to release? Whether it's toxic relationships, the need for validation, or the illusion of control, remember that every small step you take matters. It's a journey, not a sprint. Each day brings new opportunities to grow and evolve, even if the progress feels slow. If you're still with me, drop a comment saying, "I embrace each step of my journey toward higher consciousness." Your journey is unique, and every step you take brings you closer to your true self. Thank you for being here with me, and as always, I wish you a beautiful day ahead.